Hi, everyone. I am Camille Miller from the Natural Life Business Partnership, and I am with our member, Anne-Marie Cantrell, out of Pennsylvania. She's a wellness educator and chef. And we decided that we would start to do community conversations as we're all in lockdown, just about different things, what different people are going through. And NLBP has such an awesome community of different entrepreneurs that I thought it'd be really awesome to just come together and just have small conversations just about life and how we can uplift everyone. So I asked Anne-Marie to join me this morning and talk a little bit about what's going on in her life and the food piece of being in lockdown. Since we were talking before we turned on the camera, just that the beauty of the situation is that we're all in lockdown together. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do, who your family is, what your job is, what country you live in. We are all in this together, and it's in this beautiful connectedness and this beautiful oneness. At least I'm feeling out of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to find like the gratitude in every day and look at the positive of every day. And for me, one of the things is my kids are home, which, is different. Even the ones from college. But the beauty is that we literally have 3 meals a day together now. We can sit, we can talk. We're doing online sign language classes today together. We decided to start, and it's really a connectedness that I don't think I've felt in a really long time from such a beautiful place. And there's no interactions. No one's running off anywhere. No one's doing anything else. And it's kind of this beauty. Mm-hmm. So how have you found it by you?
So there's just my husband and myself at home. And so we've been home and we're eating meals together. We're cooking together. Things are changing a little. And I work from home a lot. So it's kind of like, but it's different now, it's definitely different. But I'll tell you what, like I'll go out for a walk or something and the parks are loaded with people. Like on a Saturday where you would walk and, maybe you would see some people and some families, like everybody is out. Parents with their kids, with their dogs, and I'm like, this is beautiful. This is so incredible. Nobody's home on screens. Everybody's out in the park. Yeah. And they're doing it as families. And I'm like, this will be so interesting on the other side of this to really see what the lessons are. Because there's so many gifts in this right now, I think.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree. I live about 2 years ago, I moved from a really rural country area to a downtown, like we call it a borough, like where the homes are smaller and we're all together, but we have sidewalks for the first time in my life. I didn't even grow up like this. And just to see people walk by the house, and we have front porches that we can sit on and talk from a distance. But as people walk by, and it is kind of quiet, but I would think in the borough it's probably busier than it is anywhere else because we have sidewalks.
Right.
So we got sidewalk chalk, and we're thinking of putting motivational messages on the walkway as people go by. And because it will rain, we can change them up. And then we'll see more people by the house because we'll write them all over the place.
That's awesome. It feels like it's just forcing people to get outside, be creative. The other thing that I've noticed is if I'm on a walk, because, sometimes you'll pass somebody and they'll, put their eyes, put their gaze down. Yeah. People are looking you in the eye, saying hi. If I'm driving by a walker, we both wave. I mean, it's like more of this connectedness.
Yeah. Yeah. I think out of this, we're going to change some of our habits. Like I said in my podcast yesterday, I think it's time for us to pause. Like Mother Nature needs to pause. We needed to pause. I felt like we were overstressed.
Yeah.
One of the things my kids said is they're not really stressed about school, like in the assignments and everything, because they're not, waking up too early.
Right.
And rushing off to school and doing all this work. So it's just like a new way of learning. And I hope it becomes a new way of learning, actually. Mm-hmm. That they get out of the high school brick and mortars kind of structure that they're in now. Mm-hmm. I don't actually like it, because I think life is virtual. And I think we're all seeing what it's like to work from home. Now, for some people, it's brand new.
Right.
there's some new skills people are learning right now, and then how we can connect to others when you feel isolated. But I think out of all of this, we're going to become much more connected.
I do too.
Much more connected. So one of the great topics I thought you could talk about a little bit is food. Because I will tell you, I'm a cook. And then all of a sudden coming up with 3 meals a day, every single day. And this could go on for months. Just a little bit. And I was like, wow, I have to pull out some of my old roots of, staple food, and then foods that last. Like if you cook a whole chicken and then you cook chicken soup, and then you kind of go down the line. And the second thing was gardening. Like I had not done gardening in quite a bit. And I'm like, you know what? I need to grow some food, because you really don't know what's going to happen. And if fresh produce and stuff stops. So that's another thing that I'm thinking of. And then I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to do like a whole garden, like my whole backyard? Because I could, which would be quite large, right? Or do I just do containers? And then I used to, when I was on in the rural part on the farm, we used to compost everything, because you and I met through an organic way, truly in organic farming. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go back to those roots, right? All organic, and keeping my eggshells and my coffee grinds, and so I started a compost bucket again, so I could have richer soils and stuff. So what are your thoughts around, what families can do, either gardening or food or anything in that realm?
So it's kind of an exciting time for me, because I think that we're at a point right now where people are going to really have to start to think more regionally, because you go into the supermarkets and the shelves are bare. So stuff isn't coming in from California or Ecuador. You can't get all the fruits that you want. So, and we're in a region, I'm in Pennsylvania, you're in New Jersey, where there are so many small farms, so, and those people are essential businesses. So they're still doing and producing, and so my first recommendation for people is to go online and see who's around you in terms of farms, because you can call them up. They do deliveries now. They do drop-offs, or you can pick up. They'll bag your stuff and just go to the farm, pick your bag up, prepay. So they're making it really easy to do stuff like that. So you can always at least have fresh produce. I eat meat, so there's a lot of meat farmers in my area, and I went up to one last week and I was like, are you okay? And he's like, we've got plenty of food, plenty of food. I'm like, okay, good. So I know the people that I can go to, so I'm not scared. There's not this scarcity mindset with all of that, and then the other thing is thinking about growing, and it's still easy enough to get seeds. A lot of the local farmers do seedlings, so they're growing their seedlings right now. So you could call a local farmer and be like, hey, do you have broccoli plants or kale plants or tomato plants that I can buy? And then you can stick them in your own garden.
Fantastic.
And my husband farmed for 20 years. We had a community supported agriculture, and some of the things that were so easy to grow and then harvest were all those leafy greens, like Swiss chard, kale, collard greens, because you just have a couple of plants and you can just keep harvesting off that plant. Take a couple of leaves for dinner that day, and then wait a little while and those leaves are going to grow back. So it's not like you need to plant a ton of all of these things. You can actually, same thing with some lettuces, sometimes we would just pick the lettuce leaves and then just continue to let them grow out. And as soon as they go to seed, they're going to get really bitter, but I would still eat them because I love bitter foods like that.
Can you, for people that don't have grounds, or they just have balconies or a front stoop, can they container grow?
Totally.
Greens?
Yeah, stick a couple of Swiss chard plants in a container and then you'll have food for a really long time.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, you can just keep taking those leaves.
And they go in the ground early, right?
I guess I'm bad with that part. I think I think you can start doing it now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember how Sam did it, if it was all transplants. I think they were all transplants. So he started them in a greenhouse. And I
Okay.
think his rule of thumb was like plant outside after Mother's Day when the threat of
Yeah,
frost was
I
past.
could do after Memorial Day. So that was my
Yeah,
question. But I guess
right.
the idea is to start it now. Actually, you could do containers inside.
You could totally do containers inside
Yeah,
a
because I have like
windowsill.
a coat room. I'm thinking, wow, I could probably do containers there.
Yeah.
Or even my front porch where it's probably more covered.
Uh-huh.
Like not as cold as the ground itself.
Yeah. Or
Probably.
you can, and if we're having some warm days, you can stick
Mhm.
trays outside in the sun and then bring them in at night. But
Right.
yeah, stuff like that. I mean, easy to do. And herbs are so easy to throw some herbs into a container and they'll go all summer long. It feels really empowering. Like right now, it's kind of like, I think people feel so much loss of control because
Yeah.
they can't control what's going on, outside in the universe. But this is so empowering to be able to grow your own food and then be able to cook your own food. It's just,
Yeah. There's definitely a beauty to just walking out to the garden and saying, what do I feel like today?
yeah.
Making a cucumber and tomato salad, or even the sauces. Like I haven't done that in years. So
Yeah.
like, all right, I could start small.
Mm-hmm.
I had a big garden and it got too big, and then I couldn't control it and it was just exhausting. But now it's not like I don't have time.
Right. You
So
will
it
have time.
changes things. Yep.
And the other fun thing I think to start to learn is just go out into your garden, into your yard, and see what's growing naturally that's edible. Because there's so much stuff coming up now, early spring. Like I have a ton of chickweed in my yard that people think is
Oh,
just like a regular weed, and they'll pull it up and feed it to the chickens or throw it out or whatever. But it's a really good spring tonic food, and so many people have stuff growing. There's a plant called purple dead nettle that we just have everywhere growing around our carport. And so I'm thinking I might just start doing posts and putting these pictures on for people to look because all of
yeah.
this stuff is edible. And, when you have wild food, there's so much more inherent nutrition in stuff
Yeah.
that's grown wildly than stuff that's cultivated. So you can eat really, really well, as long as you're not spraying
Yeah.
your lawn. The dandelions are starting to come up. You can take those leaves, you can eat those flowers, you can dig those roots.
So with the dandelions, and that's kind of a cool thing. So I haven't had chemicals on my land. I don't know if the owners before me did, but certainly a few years. And I know organic is 3 years. So I'm pretty much there. This is like my third summer. So for the dandelions, when they come up, I know you don't eat the flower, right?
You can?
You can eat the flower too?
Yeah,
This
like I'll
is
take the
kind of
flower. I'll
fun.
just take like the yellow petals off and sprinkle them on top of salads or something. You can eat the flowers.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll be good with like dandelion searching.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's fun. The leaves. Yeah.
Well, if you start posting that stuff, I will definitely be a follower and sharer because that is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff like and people like, God willing, we're still gonna be able to go out on hikes and stuff, but the fiddlehead ferns are gonna be coming up in the woods and, like identifying those and can get those. And I mean,
There's
there's
lots
a
of
lot of
things
fun
to,
stuff, like
yeah,
to explore and learn
yeah,
about that we can do at this time when we're home now, I think.
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's like another beauty to this time because I don't think anyone would have thought to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're like, okay, it saves money. It's better for you. It's something you can do with your family.
Totally.
It's fresh air, it's outside,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of creative. Try something new.
Yeah, and
Love
that's the
that.
other thing about cooking too, like for people that are home with kids, like there's, social studies for you and culture and find out, what cultures eat this food, how did they prepare it, do your math, biology, what does it do for your body? I mean, there's so many like teaching opportunities through cooking that it could just be really, really fun. And who doesn't, kids, I think really love to cook. Like it's always been my experience, you give them stuff to do. And if they're picky eaters, they're going to tend to eat the stuff that they cook
Absolutely.
because they put so much into it. Yeah,
Yeah. Now you've
that's
given me a whole bunch of ideas.
fun opportunities. Yeah.
Absolutely fabulous. Yeah. And it's also eating for the season. So we know that's better for us.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Be much healthier. And actually, around May or June, berries start growing too, wild berries.
Yeah, the wild
Grow all
berries.
over the place. I remember that.
Yeah. I know. It's kind of fun. It's like we're harkening back to
Where we
homesteading,
should be.
like, yeah, but but there's so much to be gained from it, I think. It's just really nice to be out there and have those connections, and you just go out with this sense of like, wow, I never knew this was here. Like, we're noticing so much more right now.
Agreed. Yeah. Nature's coming back.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much for this talk today. This was
Yeah,
chock
thanks
full
so
of great information.
much.
Foraging fabulous food.
Oh, yeah, love it.
I love that title. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. And I don't know if people have any questions on this, you can write them in the comments and we will contact Anne-Marie to answer all of them. And we can do it right on our Facebook page. So I'll also post this on my Facebook page. So if you're watching that there, just ask comments and we'll make sure Anne-Marie can answer them because I do not have the answers this time. So, all right. Thanks, Anne-Marie, for joining me today.
Thank you. Have a great one.
You too.